So there's this guy, right? His name is Puff Daddy or P Diddy or whatever, and just recently he gets sued by this girl. Her name is Cassie. Okay, for something like $30 billion or something of that nature, right? And it's got me thinking about women in American society in general, and things that you need to watch out for, and the reason that things are the way that they are. Because the big elephant in the room is how come it took you, okay, 10, 12, 13, 15 years to reveal that you were being abused? Okay, same person that can go online and say, I can't stand you, you're stupid, I'm smarter than you. Okay, same person who can sit there and say, I'm an independent woman, I can make up my own rules. Okay, nobody's going to tell me what to do, right? The same exact person who is so stupid that they wait 15 years to reveal that they have been abused in some way, in some fashion. And I feel like I understand the reason behind that. Okay, if you look at the way that women are built, okay, throughout history, like if you really look at history, right, generally speaking, like the world is not a safe place. Okay, the world is really not safe at all. Okay, it's getting safer, but it's really not a safe place. Okay, so let's say you go to just the 40s, 1940s, which is basically like 70 years ago. Okay, which is probably about the age of your grandparents, right? It was World War II. Okay, and all of the safest countries in the world. Okay, Italy, Germany, okay, France, okay, the United Kingdom. All right, we're all fighting in this huge war. Okay, all of the safest countries in the world, okay, had warfare on the grounds of their country. Okay, people were dropping bombs and you know wrecking entire neighborhoods and villages in parts of Paris, or people raining missiles down on Germany. Okay, one of the most advanced cities in the world. Okay, and the same thing with Japan. Okay, same thing with France. And then this is just World War II. Okay, keep in mind that look at what was happening before World War II. Okay, with Hitler and all this other types of stuff. Right? There was no room for a woman to talk back. Okay, right? A person that talked back, okay, was in a position where they had to like kill. Okay, they had to be willing to die for talking back, for going against the grain, for having their own opinions, their own beliefs, their own morals about something. Okay, and it has been this way historically since the beginning of time. Okay, but women are in a really interesting place because the truth is that no matter what we say, okay, men are in a better place to defend themselves. Period. Simply because women roll around with an entire human inside of their body, okay, for 9 or 10 months. Okay, there's nothing that they can do about that. Okay, it's just like somebody who has their leg chopped off, right? They're going to have to deal with that no matter what. Okay, they can't pretend that they don't have their leg chopped off. They've got to work around it. It doesn't mean that they're somehow worse off or worse people, but let's face it, if they're in a straight neck and neck relay race, okay, the person with one leg is gonna, be at a severe disadvantage to the person with two legs. That's just the way it is. There's nothing that we can do about it. Okay, just like a woman is in a very vulnerable place because she has the next generation inside of her stomach. Okay, and of course, men are gonna be like, yo, hun, let me jump in front of the bullet. Yo, hun, okay, let's protect the women and the children first. Okay, that's the way that society has always been. Okay, but you can understand how women in general could feel more comfortable blindly following the alpha. Okay, think about it. I look back to when I was 20 years old. Okay, and I didn't have any direction. Okay, my direction was, are they quote unquote cool, and do they treat me well? If they were considered in the cool crowd and they treated me well, okay, I probably would have went along with all type of dumb shit that they told me to do. Oh, come along with us. We're gonna do a drive-by. Okay. Oh, come along with us. We've got 15 kilograms in the trunk. Okay. Okay. I was at an age where I would have done anything just for those two things. A little bit of acceptance, okay, and uh, you know, a little bit of acceptance, and a motherfucker could have told me anything. Okay, so I can only imagine that it must be 10 times worse with most women in general, simply because, you know, they have been taught by their relatives for so many years, specifically the women, that they are supposed to stay in line with whatever the major attitude is in society. Okay, so if the major attitude in society is, yeah, we're bashing Diddy, then they're gonna bash Diddy, right? Or if that girl goes to the Playboy Mansion, okay, she's being treated like a queen, like some type of goddess or something like that. And she looks on the walls of the Playboy Mansion, all she sees is royalty, celebrities, people that she looks up to, and all this other types of stuff. Okay, um, you know, who are more supposedly richer, more powerful than her, saying, "Oh, I love the Playboy Mansion. Oh, this is a wonderful place," and all this other type of stuff. Of course, the natural thing for her to do is to say, I think I want to be a part of this. I think this is a really good thing for me. I think this is really sweet. Yeah, this is really awesome. Yes, this is exactly what I should follow, right? And so then the people at the Playboy Mansion say, "Hey, do X, Y, and Z." Okay, she probably doesn't have it in her mind to not do X, Y, and Z. Okay, because guess what? At the end of the day, most of the rules that she's been following since she was a child are complete BS. You want me to tell you how I know they're complete BS? I'll explain it. Okay, so women, generally speaking, have you know um, they have the ability. Science has pointed or suggested that women in general, okay, are just more flexible than men, and it makes sense. It's like, okay, well, if this girl is going to be abducted by this group of people over here, okay, back in the Stone Ages or whatever, okay, or the Game of Thrones days or whatever, okay, or the girl's village is going to be taken over, okay, then it would make sense for her to be attracted to all different types of people because the more people that she's attracted to, right, the more that she could create a genuine connection with any situation that she gets herself into, okay, which ensures the likelihood of her having the ability to take care of her children and bring her children to term. Okay, in fact, I'd even argue that if a woman was too reserved or too, I don't like this guy, or I don't like this girl, or I'm not really down with these people, or I'm not really sure, or people like that creep me out, or they were too much like that. Okay, the likelihood that they offend so many people that they'd be left out on their own to raise their children is extremely high. So generally speaking, you just don't see that type of behavior with women. Okay, and so, but then you have to understand that sex a lot of times is a navigation tool for us as human beings. So me as a man, that's my navigation tool. Okay, I say I'm gonna get up today and I'm gonna work on my business today because I want this type of life. Okay, and it's these types of women and they're doing these things to me and this is the lifestyle that I want, right? And so I have a direction, right? This girl over here doesn't necessarily have a direction. She's not forced to have a direction. Okay, nobody's telling her that she has to have a direction, right? She's just as attracted to, you know, watching, gay men, copulating or what have you, okay, as she is watching gay women copulate, as she is watching straight couple copulate, okay, according to science, okay, psychology today, all right, women have shown physical, amorous arousal in a multitude of cases where men don't show any arousal except for when it has to do with women, okay, if they're straight men, okay, but these so-called straight women are feeling arousal in all these situations. Okay, so she could be happy in any situation. Her only thing is, what's going to benefit me the best right now? A, and B, can I talk my way out of the situation? Okay, so let's say she makes a complete mistake. Okay, she could put her head in the sand for a couple of days and let it blow over, or say, oh, ho, ho, I didn't know it was happening, or cry some tears or something like that. It's these tear crying, okay, that allows women to get away with things like, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to spend 12 years with this guy. Okay, break up with him. Okay, and I don't really have an opinion one way or the other. I'm completely happy with what happened at the Playboy Mansion or whatever, but all my friends say that it was potentially abusive. Okay, and they're the alphas, the people in charge, the ones with the power. Okay, and if I want to appease them, I've got to go with what they're saying. And so, yeah, this is gonna bond me with my girls. Yeah, Diddy abused me. Okay, that's the reason it takes 15 years because she doesn't have an opinion without that. Did you see what I'm saying? You see, and you have to understand how dangerous this is. Okay, as a man, you have to understand how dangerous this is, and you have to understand it, but you also have to expect it. Okay, that means you always have to keep records. Okay, yes, remember, you know, you, you told me how much you love me and how much I'm the best guy in the world. You wrote me this letter. I've got the letter. It's framed. Okay, it's your signature on it. Okay, you told me that, I'm the best this, I'm the best that, right? You've got your name on it. It's signed. We've got tapes of us on doing these vacations. We're having a good time. Okay, because the truth is I think that because she's so flexible, okay, I think it's easier for her to even get, or for her for false memories to propagate in a woman's mind. So let me give you a great example of false memories propagating. Right? Let's say a woman says, "I think my dad abused me. I just don't remember. I think my grandfather abused me. I just don't remember. Okay, I have repressed memories of the abuse. So basically, you're buying the apartment without ever seeing it. That'd be like throwing somebody in jail before they commit a crime, right? So that affects how you talk to that person, okay? How you paint that person. And if people don't think that you're a complete idiot, okay, it will shape how they feel about the person that you're accusing, okay? Is that right? Absolutely not. But this is what we have to deal with. This is what we have to understand, and we can't be mad about it or upset about it as men. The best thing that we can do is move or seduce or deal with women from different cultures than the United States, okay? Because generally speaking, okay, the United States is, if you really think about it, like colonization is basically like this, right? Where there's the master races and there's the slave races, right? The slave countries and then the master countries. Okay, so what happens is the master countries enslave the slave countries. So Portugal goes to Brazil, enslaves all the people, and then everybody starts speaking Portuguese. Okay, and then eventually they revolt. Okay, and Portugal gives back the land to the Brazilians, yet they speak Portuguese. Okay, but you have to understand the granddaddy of all you know, colonization, okay, is the United States of America, okay, because all the colonizing countries like Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, etc., were taken over by, um, they were taken over, um, you know, back in World War II. The United States doled out a whole bunch of money to them, okay, and loaned them a bunch of money. And the war, World War II, happened next to all of the other colonizing countries. So 80% of all colonizing countries were in the heart of World War II, had cities and destroyed because of World War II. 90% of the countries who were colonizing countries, okay, borrowed money from the United States of America. Okay, the war didn't happen on the United States doorstep because we were too far away. Okay, so what happened was they loaned all money, plus the place was destroyed, and then the United States said, okay, now we want to call favors. So we're gonna, you know, have this influence, this influence, this influence. We're gonna have this army base here. We're gonna have this. We're gonna have that. And so then what happened was there was this industrial revolution or whatever you want to call it, boom, and that's where the baby boomers happened, and which is a very rich, wealthy generation financially. It's because they were the head of the colonizing countries. The problem is with colonization, the goal is I'm better than you. Okay, I'm the supreme, you're the inferior. Okay, and in a culture like that, you're going to find that the likelihood of people seeking a sort of revenge against men in general is going to be a lot higher in somewhere where colonization is, basically ancient and, you know, completely disavowed or, swept under the rug, or I don't want anything to do with that anymore, or whatever, or a country that there was no colonization in the first place. So Russia has never been a country to colonize, right? So they're not going to deal with the same issues, or Portugal or Spain, they colonized a little bit, but it was one country a long time ago, okay, and they weren't necessarily brutal, right, or they weren't as brutal or whatever, right? So this is just some food for thought. You know, um, I want you to stay on your p's and q's and make intelligent decisions about the women that you bring into your life. Until next time, ciao.